Hey guys, Chad with Ben the Spoon here. And about a week and a half ago at this point, I saw a UFO in the sky. I put out a video on Open Your Reality, my other channel, about it. And it was on a bike ride. I was heading home from a long bike ride where I did about 50, 60 miles. And I was returning from the Boca Raton area in South Florida, if you know where that is. And so I'm on this highway called Federal Highway. And it had to be, I guess, close to around midnight or so. And I'm pedaling home, and I look up because I could clearly see this bright orange light in the sky, and it was going from west to east. And I was not that far at that point from the ocean. So it was heading from inland to over the ocean. And it was a very bright orange light with like a cone tail. And I would say it was moving somewhere like a few hundred miles per hour, and maybe it was up like around maybe 10 to 20,000 feet in the sky. My best guess. I've watched planes and helicopters and all kinds of aerial phenomena in the sky through my life. And I've seen a few UFOs before, so I have an idea. But remember, it was very dark at night, and I'm watching this thing, and I'm saying to myself, I got to get this thing on camera. So I had my camera with me on my bike. I stopped my bike. By the time I get my camera out and I focus it and I get the right ISO and I'm looking up, it starts going over the tree line level. Okay. And I'm trying to record it best I can. And then when it under the tree line level, it was actually in my camera or on my camera. And I didn't even realize I turned my camera off, but I got a few seconds of it, which you saw here. And this was just some bright orange light, and it was heading out over the ocean, and then eventually it disappeared. So it was moving in a linear sequential manner, as if it was a plane, but it wasn't a plane, it wasn't a helicopter. I've seen many planes and helicopters in my time, and I know what kind of lights they have. This was a bright orange light with a cone, and you couldn't really tell when it was far in the distance. You couldn't see the tail anymore, but it was still a very bright orange light. And when I stopped my bike, I was surprised because nobody else had stopped their vehicle, or there was no bystanders on the street. I understand it was late, and I felt like I was the only one seeing this. And I thought maybe I'll see some news piece on this in the next day, and I did not see anything about it. Nobody said anything. So what are these aerial phenomena in the sky, these UFO? Are they man-made, or are they actually alien in nature? And for me, it all started back when I read this book years and years ago. It's called Nothing in This Book is True, but It's Exactly How Things Are by Bob Frissell. And this book came out in 1994. I read it maybe a year or two after it came out. And there's a chapter on it about aliens, actually a couple of chapters, and that really got me thinking about aliens. And I started looking into the research of people like David Icke and David Wilcock, and it's a fascinating subject, and I've watched a lot of interviews. As a matter of fact, I'm still watching them. I'm watching an interview of Dr. David Greer. Some of you may know who he is. He was a medical doctor, a trauma doctor, who eventually transitioned into being a full-time ufologist. Not just a ufologist, but he's trying to bring some of the technology that's been hidden from us out into the mainstream, which is very difficult because he says that the fossil fuels, the coal, the power source that we have on the planet now, it's basically gasoline powered, which is, fossil fuel. That's a $quadrillion industry. And so the powers that be that control this world do not want to lose their grip on all that power and money, so it's being suppressed. And I think most of you know that. And so anybody that tries to bring it out is discredited, they're taken out, if you know what I mean, and basically the work is bought up, so to speak, and suppressed, never to be seen again. Tesla was one of the first to do it. As a matter of fact, in this interview, Dr. Greer said that Tesla actually owned the first Tesla. He created an electric car that ran on a free energy device that did not need to be plugged in. And Dr. Greer said that we could transform our entire planet within 10 to 20 years. Every country, every nation, every town would be completely different. We would not be dependent on coal and fossil fuels and gas, but on this free energy tapping into the 0 point, which is basically our birthright. And the aliens that have visited our world for many thousands of years and that are still here, according to Dr. Greer, run all their ships and all their technology off of the 0 point. So that technology is absolutely available to us, but unfortunately it's being suppressed. And we don't know when, if ever, we will experience a world where everybody can have a free energy machine. And because there would be no need for electric bills, there would be no need to put gasoline in your car. Everybody would, basically poverty would be eliminated. Everybody would in a sense be rich, and the world would be an amazing place. But of course, we can't have that because there's a small oligarchy of people that want to retain their power and money. Isn't it always like that? And if you look at those people, it's probably less than 50 people in the world controlling 8 to 9 billion people. It's really sad. So I'm enjoying the interview. This interview, by the way, was on DJ Vlad. That's the name of the channel. And it happened 2 months ago. It's got about 874,000 views. Dr. Greer is a controversial figure for most, because he can't really prove a lot of what he's saying. Now, when he speaks, you can tell he's definitely informed and intelligent, but he says things like he's seen aliens, and he's talked to the people of Roswell, and he knows that there are secret government bases, but he just can't reveal certain information for his own safety, and just because the world is not ready to hear it, in a sense. Not that the world is not ready, but the oligarchy doesn't want it revealed, and so he has this kind of clause in place where he doesn't say what he knows. However, he says if he was taken out, that information would be revealed, and that's one of the reasons he's still alive. Fascinating, I know. So what are my conclusions? What are my final thoughts on seeing this UFO in the sky? Well, it's a light. It could be a man-made object. It could be possibly a natural phenomena, and it could be an alien phenomena, right? It could be an alien craft. And I don't know if we could ever be sure, because even as far back as about 90 years ago in the 1930s, some of these UFO had crashed. The government had gone out and took them back to secret facilities. Some of these aliens were still alive too. And they back-engineered the technology to create, like I said, these free energy devices, this amazing technology that's being kept hidden. And also, there's a great book out there called Alien Agenda by Jim Marrs, and I've talked about the book on Open Your Reality a number of times. And there is a chapter towards the end of the book where Jim Marrs talks about these remote viewers that were part of this covert program of the CIA back in the 70s and 80s, where these remote viewers looked back in time and looked out in space and said that it was filled with aliens and ships, and that President Eisenhower back around 1953-54 had signed what they called the Greer Treaty with aliens, so that aliens would be able to abduct humans, conduct their research, and in return, the US government would get some of their advanced technology. So I do believe that I do believe in the Greer Treaty. And again, like for those people who believe in the flat earth and this is not possible, remember aliens could be coming from outside the firmament. They could be coming from another dimension. They could be coming from beyond the Antarctic ice walls, and they could also be coming from under the ground. So I do believe in aliens, and I do believe they exist. And I do believe that we do see UFO in the sky, and there's been a lot of footage of it. Dr. Greer is very well informed, very intelligent. Some people say he's a misinformation agent. I don't think so. And so the jury is still out in one sense, but in another sense, if you read through all the mounds of literature and look at some of the whistleblowers in their interviews with people like DJ Vlad or Carrie Cassidy from Project Camelot, you'll see that there's a common thread. And that common thread is there's a large variety of species that have been visiting the Earth for thousands of years that are still here, that have made some type of pact with the world governments. And the world governments are not revealing the hidden technology that they back-engineered or were given by these alien groups. And the truth or disclosure is probably not going to happen anytime soon. Because like I said, there's an oligarchy out there that's invested in the infrastructure of the world the way it is with fossil fuels, and they do not want to lose their grip on power and money. Because it's a quadrillion, it's like $1,000 trillion industry. It's basically the GDP of the entire world, perhaps. So I'm hoping in my lifetime, I'm 50 years old now, hopefully I live another 50 years. It'll be very, very interesting to see all this new technology that's going to come out. And there's so much technology that's coming out, just regular technology, AI. And if you're not looking at the articles, reading about the science of it every day, you just really don't even notice it, right? You're I wouldn't say ignorant of it, because there's so much information coming out, but it's incredible. Breakthroughs in medical technology, in vehicle technology, in science. And they also now have the James Webb Telescope, if you believe that's real, seeing way back in time and in distance, and formulating new theories about the universe. Everything is constantly in flux here in this reality, constantly changing. So nothing surprises me anymore. You know, in one way, this is like a mass dream that we're having. It's not very different than a dream that you would have on your own. It's just that we all have it together. And when you die, that's kind of like when you wake up. It reminds me of the movie Vanilla Sky. If you remember, Tom Cruise, the character, his character was put into a coma and was induced. He had an induced dream. At the very end of the movie, he woke up. And so waking up from the dream is actually entering your real life. So that's the metaphor. By the way, if you hear some kind of noise, that's my refrigerator. So makes that noise. I don't know why, but ever since I've had it, I gotten used to it. So sorry if you hear that in the background. Okay, well, that's it for me today. If you have any questions about me seeing that UFO, let me know in the comment section. I so appreciate you staying until the end. Thank you to all the patrons. Become a member of my Patreon page to see exclusive content. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.